thoughts on whether we should ban gambling ads. 0207862222. The charity GambleAware says nearly a third of people saw a gambling ad for the first time before they turned 17. They say constant exposure to adverts, like on TV screens and mobiles and at football stadiums, increases the risk of gambling harms for kids and adults and contributes to an environment where gambling harm, as they're calling it, is normalised. So is a ban the way to stop people developing a problem? What do you think, Bobby?
So, again, can gambling be a legitimate leisure activity? I think it can be. I myself, as a big football fan and a West Ham fanatic, I occasionally partial to the odd 10, 20 quid bet, and it can heighten the enjoyment of the experience. But the question is, should we ban the ads for gambling companies? And I think gambling companies, do they deliberately target the vulnerable and young? And I would say yes. And if you look at their profits, so this is really fascinating. For the gross online profits of gambling companies, 86% of their profits come from just 5% of customers. 86% of profits come from 5%. So they are deliberately targeting vulnerable people and younger people because they know that's where their source of income is coming. So I'm not saying ban gambling.
Might be the ones best able to gamble safely?
You
don't think so?
I don't think so. I think, again, when we look at things like going for a drink, you go for a drink because it lightens the mood, you have a good time. But gambling is just sucking money out of vulnerable people. And I think the ads are there to target the vulnerable and young.
Carole?
I get it can be addictive and it can cause psychological harm, but you can't just ban everything that might harm people, because you'd have to ban alcohol, you'd have to ban smoking, you'd have to ban...
Carole, we're talking about.
No, but the ads lead to people gambling. That's the whole point. It's not just ads.
You still would let them gamble.
Well, I think people have a right to gamble. They should have autonomy to make their own decisions about what they do.
And take heroin?
People have a right to take heroin. The bottom line is we shouldn't have to pay for what happens as a result of that. If someone wants to put their lives in danger, let them do it. They should have autonomy over their own life.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, heroin is illegal. Gambling is not illegal. And the thing is, it produces massive boosts for this country. Massive economic boosts, creation of thousands of jobs, collects massive amounts of money for this government. It funds sport, a lot of sport. It funds healthcare. It funds education. It creates a lot of good things as well as bad. And when you look about the amount of people who are addicted to gambling, I think the maximum number that I've seen is something like 2.7 million.
Really?
Yeah.
That many?
But that accounts for a very small percentage of the... What is the number? Hang on, I've got 1.4 million people, which accounts for 2.7% of the population.
Yeah.
That leaves, still about 68 million people who are not affected.
It feels like a lot to me. The question is whether the people who are addicted are the ones who can least afford to lose the money, Bobby. That's what I don't quite get.
I think again, if you look at the online gaming platforms, in the old days you'd have to go down to the bookies, so it became much more difficult. Whereas now, on a phone, you can be there spending lots of money, and the gambling companies, they love that. And again, with the government, my cynical take is that the government knows that the gambling companies provide a lot of revenue for them in terms of tax take. So they're thinking, they're happy to take on the harms that these people, vulnerable people, have because we can take tax intake. So I think it's a really cynical ploy.
Let's go to Graham in Berkshire. Hi, Graham.
Hello.
Would you ban the ads?
I would, and I've thought about this for a long time. I don't like the fact that we're getting actors as well promoting it. If these ads aren't on, less people are going to be tempted to gamble, so that's only a good thing.
Who's the guy who does it a lot? I've seen his Sexy
Harry
Beast.
Redknapp does it.
Oh, yeah.
But hang on a second, Graham. It says reported in 2022 that footballers, celebrities and social media influencers will be banned from gambling adverts, which I think is right, because they do have a massive influence on people.
You wouldn't write the adverts at all, Graham?
No, I don't. But that's already happened, has it?
It says it's 2022. From 22, they won't be allowed to use stars. So, yes, I'm guessing it's happened.
Yeah. OK,
right, OK.
I don't know about that, because I keep seeing Ray Winston doing them. But
maybe
he's not an influencer. Yeah, we're talking about... But what's your worry here, Graham? Is it that younger people will see the ads and start gambling?
Anybody really, not just younger people, but anybody may be influenced to do it, and it's obviously a problem.
But why though? Because if it's, I mean, I don't gamble myself. I just can't be bothered, to be honest. But I think also I could get addicted to it.
Yeah, me too.
You as well? Yeah.
If I bet on a horse and I win, I want to immediately bet again.
Of course, another horse. Yeah, Graham, what are we worried about? Because it seems like for most people, it is just recreation.
It is, yeah.
I don't think it is. There are people who have got gambling problems, and it obviously starts somewhere. So if you minimise the adverts, then obviously less people are going to be tempted.
But you know, Graham, people who want to gamble, they're going to gamble whatever safeguards you put in place. People who are proper addicts are going to find a way to gamble, whatever you do.
OK, Graham, thank you. Sandra in London, hi.
Hi.
What do you think?
Yeah, ban the adverts.
Ban the adverts.
Yes, all of them, because it's like Bobby Seagull said, their profits, out of their profits, 5% are people with problems with gambling.
Yeah.
How many people is that? How many is that 5%? Because do you know how much it's costing the health service to treat these people, the National Health Service?
Well, are they being treated by the health service, Bobby? Is that something?
Oh, yes, it's causing massive problems.
Hang on, Carole, sorry, just one sec. You think the health service ends up with the bill, does it?
Yes, oh yes. But even in spite of that, it's the misery it causes the families of these people. It's not just the gambler.
Is it, Bobby, out of interest, Bobby is a maths teacher. Let me just ask whether you see gambling amongst your pupils.
Yes.
Do you?
Teenagers. Because all you do is you get mum or dad's credit card and they'll talk to me about, initially starts off with innocent sports betting. They're like, I'm going to there's a free bet here. And then mum or dad might say, yeah, put £1 on. But that sows the seeds. And again, I think with the ads, it's not like, again, I add to someone that, to me, if I'm a sensible person that bets, here's an offer on West Ham to bet, I might do it. But the thing is, they're targeting, again, these ad men and women are very clever. They know how to get people that are sort of on the borderline, not wanting to bet, draw them in, and then they draw them in for a long time.
Yeah, but all ads draw you into things that you shouldn't do. But I mean, Sandra says the health service has to look after these people. It has to look after the alcoholics. It has to look after overweight people, especially overweight people. It has to look after people who smoke and who have cancers because of smoking.
Well, then we get into whether gambling is a choice, whether alcohol is a choice, and all. You probably think so.
Well, alcohol is a choice. Of course it's a choice.
Yeah. So
yes.
People who are addicted say it's not their choice anymore.
Well,
they're ill.
Well, yes, but I mean, you don't start off as an addict. You start off by doing something.
And then by banning the ads, we're stopping that cycle. That's why I'm saying
you can't. You're not going to ban ads for food. You're not going to ban ads for alcohol.
Although government for certain things, certain products do ban, again, for children, like marketing sugary sweet foods past a certain time, etc.
And that's worked in this country with obesity, hasn't it?
Smoking. They banned smoking ads. I don't see people smoking now.
Well, I think you probably don't say certain because of those awful pictures they have on the side of the packet.
Do you? Oh, that's
rotting lungs and whatever. Yeah. And I think it's a generational thing anyway. You know.
OK. Dave is in Cumbria. Hi, Dave.
Yeah, hiya, Jeremy.
Hey, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, to make out that in a way that it's a good thing that the government makes money out of gambling and all that sort of thing, I think is really, really bad. I mean, what people are forgetting is some of these people that commit suicide through gambling. It destroys families. The destruction is endless.
Have you been a gambler yourself, Dave?
No, I've never done it, but I've got a good friend that is. And I mean, how he lives is beyond me, but I've seen the destruction that it can cause.
Yeah, I think it tears marriages apart as well, doesn't it?
There's no argument that it causes chaos and destruction, Dave. It does, especially for the families of these people, as Sandra said before. But the bottom line is, the government collecting money is not a bad thing, because how else is everything in this country paid for other than by tax? So you ban everything that brings in tax and we're in big trouble.
But then we are... Let's go on, Dave.
Jeremy,
sorry.
You taking money off of people that lives are totally being destroyed, and taking money off of people like that I just don't believe that can be a good thing at all.
Thank you, Dave. If you or somebody you know is struggling with gambling, there is help out there. Go to www.gambleaware.org. You can actually get help there. I think we might have another caller on the line. No? OK. I was just told one more caller. Let's wait. Who have we got? No?
Maybe they're off placing a bet right now.
Yes.
They've seen a gambling ad. They're
one
like,
more caller. I'm just waiting out. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Patsy on Facebook says, even some charities run lotteries now. It's wrong. Gambling causes a lot of hardship, particularly amongst poorer people who see this as their only chance to lift themselves out of poverty. Susan on Facebook says, unfortunately, the horse has already bolted. Online gambling makes it easier for people to get drawn in and to get into financial difficulty. The problem goes unnoticed for longer in the privacy of the home. There we are. Our two last comments on that. So, we have got another call. Martin in Greater Manchester. Hi.
Hi.
What would you like to say?
Going about this gambling, it's the person that, I don't know, it's the same as heroin or drug addicts or alcoholics. It's their choice.
Yeah.
The adverts are not drawing them into
Well,
gamble.
that's what Carole says. Do you gamble yourself, Martin?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, because I do think there's a bit to be said. Where are you on that, Bobby? That if you get into trouble with gambling, that's your choice. If you get into trouble with alcohol, that's your choice. If you get into trouble with tobacco, that's your choice.
bringing us the addictive nature of these products. Again, I gamble myself, but I know that if I didn't set myself strict limits, imagine I lost 10 quid, 20 quid on a game.
Okay, how much do you gamble every year?
Probably a few hundred quid.
Okay, not 1,000.
No.
All right. Well, then you're not a gambler.
But in my 20s, I probably would have when I was working in the city as a trader. Then I would have gambled thousands there.
Okay.
We should point out that most
Martin,
people...
sorry, Martin, what you're saying it's a choice.
Yeah. The adverts don't draw you into doing that. It's your choice at the end of the day. If you want to gamble, you gamble. But if you don't, why does that advert have to tease you into gambling?
Martin, let me give you one analogy. For example, I'm a big sugar fiend. I have a big sweet tooth. So at home, I don't buy biscuits, crisps, chocolates, because if it's there, I can't resist. So I remove it from my place. So again, it's clearly like I obviously have the intention of not eating it, but if I have one biscuit, one pack of crisps, then the addict in me, the sugar addict, comes out. So it sounds like a trivial way of comparison, but I think gambling does the same thing. People think, oh, I'll do one bet, but then they get drawn in, end up betting multiple after multiple, losing lots of money, and all the misery it causes.
Isn't the problem that the ads don't tell you the full story? So the ads say it's brilliant to ski right off a cliff top. It's fantastic. You go downhill really fast and you end up in midair. They never say then you fall to your death. And it's like that with gambling. It's great to gamble, it's great to win. They never say it can end up possessing you.
I don't believe in that.
No.
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 All right. Mate, thank you.